How you doing, folks? This is Glenn Glasper. Thank you all for joining me again. We're back. I know we were out for a couple of weeks, but we're back. And thank you for tuning in today. Again, this is the Real Life Real Estate Investing Show, where we talk about real life real estate situations, but we bring you real life real estate solutions. I'm your host, Glenn Glasper, affectionately known as Mr. Dollar Out of a Dime. And we have a great show for you today. All right, folks, welcome back. This is the Real Life Real Estate Investing Show, where we talk about real life real estate situations, but we bring you real life real estate solutions. And today I have with me a special guest is going to have a topic that I believe is long overdue for those of you that are in the fixing and flipping business. You definitely want to hang around and listen to some of the things that we're going to talk about today. And we're going to talk about something that a lot of people have been misinformed or misunderstood as it relates to real estate investing in terms of short sales. So definitely hang around. We got some great information. I have with me today the president of HB Funding Incorporated, Mr. Dohn Thornton. Now, Mr. Dohn Thornton is considered to be the best freaking short sale investor in the country, as well as he can show us how to never pay capital gains taxes, even without a 1031 exchange. Now, I know when I heard this, I was like, wait a minute, I got to figure out how to do that, because that's one of the biggest things that a lot of people get caught up in when they look at the amount of money they expect to make on a flip. People get excited because they see I get to make $50,000 or $60,000 on a flip. But what they don't recognize in many cases is the taxes that, when you partner with Uncle Sam, Uncle Sam is your silent partner in those deals. So you got to pay those taxes. But wouldn't you like to know how to not have to pay taxes and not have to take that money and roll it over into a 1031 exchange? So Mr. Dohn Thornton is the short sale guy. He's been investing in real estate, investing in short sales since he was a newbie way back in 2002. He's flipped over 3,500 short sales in his career. And he's currently expanding his short sale business nationwide from Florida and is looking to add investors to his network to help him monetize their upside down leads, He also teaches investors how they can legally avoid capital gains taxes without doing a 1031 exchange, and how to convert up to 97% of their net income into permanently tax deferred passive income by using a special trust. I know that's something that you all want to hear about. So without further ado, Mr. Dohn Thornton. We need to have some clapping hands that bring people in like you, man, for having that great information to share with us today. Thank you for joining us, Dohn. I know I told the folks a little bit about who you are. Give us some of the real background of how you got started and how you got in this lane of real estate investing.
Well, it was sheer desperation.
Absolutely.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, that's what happens sometimes. I mean, I'll give you a real quick version of this. Actually, I got started in my mid-30s. My career path before then was I was going to be a Russian language specialist with the State Department. Government work was what I wanted to do. And then I just be in Moscow, wall fell, and the Soviet Union disappeared. And all of a sudden, if you were an American who spoke fluent Russian, which I did, all these joint ventures, all these American companies came in, and they were hiring you off the street for $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 a month just because you had a U.S. passport and you spoke fluent Russian, and all that money spoiled me. And I said, "Group government work, I want the money." And I ended up staying for 10 years, I guess. And
Wow.
But I got married. I have 2 kids. I have a grandson now. But back then, we decided that we were going to go back to the States, and we went to Orlando because my sister was here at the time, and we said, why not? We'll just go there. And I got hired by a company, and they sent me right back to Russia, which was weird.
Wow.
But I went back and worked with them for a couple of years, and they were a pipeline inspection company. They put robots with cameras in sewers and water pipes. And at the time, Russia was getting a lot of foreign aid. They were going to do a lot of infrastructure rebuilding and modernization. And I put together a consortium of a Canadian company, our company, a British company, and a Russian company. And we were going to start rehabbing pipes. And we did a pilot project. We did like, I don't know, maybe about a quarter of a mile of rehabbing this water pipe out with a city outside of Moscow. Went wonderfully. And we got a contract to rehabilitate 42 kilometers worth of water pipes in St. Petersburg. I was going to make $1 million commission for that.
Wow.
And then my stupid company said, what if our equipment doesn't work? We're going to pull out. Oh my gosh, right? So I went.
Talk about desperation.
I went from having about to get $1 million bonus, not to mention my salary, to
Wow.
you're fired. You got 6 months to get the equipment back, or we're gonna come against you because you got to get the equipment back to us. And it was just like, wow. So I said, never again will I ever work for anybody. I'm just not going to do it. I will come hell or high water. I will definitely be my own boss. So I went back I had to leave my family. I didn't see him for 2 years, almost 2 years.
Wow.
And I had to find something. And, my mother, bless her heart, she always told me, Don, you should be a real estate investor. Don, you should be a real estate investor. Don, you should be a real estate investor. So I said, okay. I had to pay the bills, though, so I got my mortgage license. And I was trying to do deals and mortgages. I was horrible at it, just terrible. I was just really, I couldn't suck up to realtors. I just could not do it.
Wow.
And I had a partner, and he was doing great because he could suck up the realtors, and I couldn't. And I was too proud, I guess. Anyway, one day he said, Don, there's this event going on in Tampa. It's about short sales. Why don't you go? And I said, what the hell is a short sale? And he says, well, you can make some money by negotiating with people who are upside down, and they can, you can create equity and profit. And I said, all right, I'll go. So I went there. And of course, it was $3,000. I always get the hook to get you $3,000 or $5,000 or whatever. I guess that's cheap nowadays. But
right, it is.
I had no money, so I raised my hand at the seminar. I just said, "Look, I don't have the money, but I want to do this. I think it's the most brilliant strategy I've ever heard of. What would I do if you were in my shoes? What would you do?" And he just said, "What I would do is what I did personally." He says, "I was a cook in a restaurant before I started doing this." He says, "Just go, start knocking on people's doors and say who are in foreclosure, and tell them you want them to give them your house. I mean, you want them to give you their house."
Wow.
I just said, "That happens?" He says, "Yes, you'll be surprised."
This is true.
So I started doing that. The very first door I knocked on, a guy said yes.
Wow.
Very first guy, and I did not know anything. So my partners said, "Well, just go to this local RIA, and you'll find they're all really helpful. They'll help you." So I said, "Sure." So I went there and networked. They said, one guy said, "Yeah, I can do it for you." So I said, "I'm wonderful. All right, I'm gonna make $15,000, and this is awesome. And wow, this real estate investing is easy." And so, but it kept dragging. It kept dragging. And then finally, now I will give you a little preface here. They were very religious. And they said, after 2 months, I was running out of money. They said, "God told us to give the deed back to the homeowner." I said, "God told you to give the deed back to the homeowner?" Yeah. We prayed, and then that was the message we got from God.
Wow.
Said, was God paying attention to my situation? I literally was supplementing my diet by my gas cards, Shell and BP and 7-Eleven, eating hot dogs and big bites and big gulps. And I said, okay, I had in the space of 2 months, I had found probably 12 houses, and they gave every single deed back to those people because God kept telling them to it's the weird. I thought to myself, okay, maybe real estate investing is not that easy. So I said, okay, I'm done with you people. So then I found another investor, and he had me fill out a resume. I had to go in and give a financial statement, and he looked at my finances and said, "I can't work with you because you owe money." I said, "Yeah, because I haven't had a job."
Right. Right.
He goes, "No, that just shows your character flaws. I will not work with
Wow.
I'm thinking, wow, okay, great. So then my friend finally said, look, there's this guy, you can work for him, and I guarantee you he's good. This is around September and of 2002, and I said, okay, whatever. So I went there, and he says, here's the deal. I'll get you $500 for every time you get me a deed, up to five, and then we'll give you 1,000 after that, and then you'll get 25% of whatever we make on the short sale. I said, perfect, let's do it.
Right.
I
Right.
found him 36 properties in less than 10 weeks, got the deeds and everything like that. And then he fired me. You know why he fired me?
Because you
I'm putting too much money out. You're giving me too many houses.
really.
Yeah. He fired me, but
You think that's what he was looking for?
I had two houses that I had not yet monetized or had not given to him. They were short
Wow.
sale. And so I went to my friend and said, look, I'm getting sick and tired of your recommendations because they're all a bunch of crooks. They're either religious fanatics or they're crooks. And so he says, no, let me help you find this lady. He found me a very, very nice British lady down in South Florida. He says, she'll do it for free. She'll teach you how to negotiate with the mortgage company. I said, let's do it.
Mm.
But I didn't have any money. I was dead broke. And
Wow.
so I had this harebrained idea. I was going to go to the local RIA and just say, I have two short sales. I will offer you 50% of whatever I make on the deal if you give me $3,000 per short sale. I mean, right now to keep me going. So one lady did, and it kept me going until February 2003 when I had my first closing. I made $13,067.72. I had it framed, and the week after I made 25,000. And so I went from big bites and big gulps with on borrowed fast card money. But by the end of the year, I think I made around $800,000. And from there, it was just I was off like a rocket. And then of course you can imagine how much money I was making during the Great Recession.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I've been doing it ever since.
So now I get it. I get it. And I know how this works. I understand the process. But somebody watching or that would eventually watch will probably ask the question, what is a short sale? Is it you got to be like 5 feet or less to do a sale, or what is it? What is a short
Yeah, it is when a homeowner owes more than what the property's worth,
sale?
and they cannot sell it unless they bring money to the table, and
Right.
usually it's a lot of money, right? So, the only way to save it, or excuse me, to sell it, is if the mortgage company allows you to sell it at a price that's less than a full payoff, and they will forgive the difference, and they will pay all the real estate commissions and closing costs and so forth, and it's much less damage to your credit. So that's what it is. So basically, how do you make money on it? Well, if they owe 200, and I know that I can sell it for 180,000, then I'm going to try to get it for 120.
Got
Okay.
it.
Back in the day, I was getting $180,000 discounts, but the banks didn't know what they're doing. Now they know. So those
Right.
kind of profits, you're very fortunate to get those. And as a business decision, we decided that we were not going to go for the big money because we just burn our bridges with. We might make a big payoff every now and then, but we're going to burn our bridges with negotiators. So we decided our sweet spot was going to be 12 to 20, $25,000, and volume. That's how we do it. And
Got it.
it worked great. We were able to transition. And but I will tell you this: if I had started short sales now, like I was back then,
Mhm.
I'd fail. It's too complicated. They are the stuff we have to do now to get discounts. I mean, back in the day, it was just you could just go meet the appraiser at the property and BS for a while, and wink, wink, nudge, nudge. How much do you need?
Right.
No, no. You can't even talk to them.
Right.
It's a whole different ball game. But we're still making money. So
So is it still how different is the short sale process now from before and now? Like what are some of the I mean, I know like you mentioned, you can't really work out the numbers as much
it's
as
just
much as you did
complicated.
before.
It's complicated, and everybody knows everything, and it's just you can't. They know the condition of the property. They know the comps. I mean, you're going up against professionals, and they've been trained by the School of Hard Knocks. They were losing millions and millions of dollars in short sales. Now they know, and so
Right.
you have to make a very good case. I mean, we're submitting stuff, 80 pages of documentation sometimes
Wow.
of
Wow.
why we think this is the realistic price. and we win most of the time, but sometimes we don't.
Got it.
And so it's just, I would say it's just much more sophisticated than it ever was. I mean, I would say it's like back in the day, it was like playing Pong. That old video game back in the 70s. I'm
Yeah.
old, I remember that.
Yeah.
To doing whatever the video game is nowadays, Fortnite or whatever. That's really
Okay.
that's really the difference in sophistication of that stuff.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Okay. And I guess, I imagine it would take a lot of skills now to
Oh,
be able to understand what are some of those things that they're going to look for in going into that process.
yeah. I have people that come to me and they want me to sell a course, and I have a course. I do sell it, but I don't push it because I'm thinking to myself, God, you're wasting your money because you're not going to be able to learn this. It
Right.
takes too long. So I
Absolutely.
was saying, just joint venture with our company. We'll do the negotiations, and you get 25% of what we make on it. That way, you can focus on what you're good at, which is finding them, and let us do what we're good at, which is creating the discounts and getting them monetized.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess I imagine during a time like that, it was kind of understandable
Hmm.
why someone would want to potentially go that route. But what made you decide that you wanted to specialize in short sales when you were a newbie, when you were getting started?
Who wanted to do them today? People don't want to do them.
Right.
And I thought to myself, plus, if look, you can make money in real estate investing if you get the price down low enough and there's equity, then you can resell it or you can rehab it or whatever. But the idea that I could create equity and profit out of thin air by
Right.
my negotiations, I thought that was the most brilliant strategy I ever thought of. And plus, I mean, not much competition.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
And I imagine there's very little competition in that area now as well.
Not
Yeah.
much. I mean, you get people that are doing them, and they try to do them, but they're. I don't want to call them fly by night, but they just can't get the discounts.
Right. 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 Interesting, interesting. So, as how is it possible now, and I guess in what we're doing now, how can investors and wholesalers monetize their leads when the borrower owes more than the house
Well,
is worth?
they need to be in my network and reach out to me, so that way, if the magic question I always teach my students or people that I work with is this: you always have to say this: do you owe more than what the property is worth, or do you have equity? And most of
Mm,
them, they don't even ask that question. Or if they do, they just, okay, I can't do anything with that lead, right? But if
right,
you do
right,
that, and you're at a crossroads, you know that it's if they say no, I don't have the equity, short sale script. Otherwise,
definitely,
it's a wholesaling script or whatever script you use. And
absolutely,
so then I just tell them all you have to do is say, well, we can help you out. My partner's been doing this for 20 years. A plus rating with the Better Business Bureau since 2004. He's helped well over 3,500 homeowners that period of time. Why don't I get you on the phone with him and he can talk to you about how this works?
mm,
That's literally
good
all you have
stuff.
to do. I mean, you don't have to sit there and learn all these short sale scripts unless you want to, but why? I mean, we're,
Right,
we're
right,
available here to close them for
absolutely, absolutely. It makes it a whole lot simpler than trying to
you.
figure all that out.
Yeah, yeah,
Most
100%.
definitely. So I had a scenario some time ago with a short sale that was also a reverse mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
So the person had a reverse mortgage on it, and the bank, of course, didn't know how much the house was worth. They were looking to get back what they wanted to get back from
Right.
what they loaned on it. How is that a similar type of situation, or is that something that you can
Yes,
help with?
yes, and I will tell you that reverse mortgages are difficult. For one thing, if the property is vacant, they will only take 5% discount of what their appraisal value is. If it's
Wow,
occupied, you get zero. You get the appraisal price, and that's it.
wow,
So they
wow.
are difficult. I would say in a hierarchy of the most difficult entities to work with, reverse mortgages are one, and then I would say VA are number two.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I guess that I'm curious to know why that is. I mean, because typically in situations that I've seen, like the house, if they do a reverse mortgage, typically it's an older person that has
Mhm.
unlikely updated the property in any amount of time.
Mhm.
So it's very likely that the property is not going to appraise for the market value. So is it that part of the situation, or does that make
No,
a difference?
it's the all this massive appreciation that's happened in the last 3 years. The banks are
Yes.
greedy and they think they can. Right now, they have no motivation to do a short sale, especially on vacant properties. VA, if it's vacant, don't even try. FHA,
Wow.
if it's vacant, don't even try it. Right now. Now that's going to change as the economy turns and the market goes down. But right
Yeah.
now, one of the reasons why they're slow is that I used to drive for dollars. I had people driving for. I had a whole team in Florida, like 70 people driving for dollars for me. Not
Wow.
anymore because the vacant properties they're not that many. Number one, but number two, they're not that valuable because you can't do a short sale.
Wow. Wow. That's
Right.
something else. That's something else. So you mentioned that you had to do 80 pages of documents.
Yes.
I remember a day where we had to submit quite a bit of information. So what is some of the additional things that they potentially will be looking for in the short sale? I know they
Well,
want the
I mean, I don't
hardship
want to get
letter.
into our secret sauce here, but
I know, right?
it's a lot. It's a lot, and I would tell you this: our goal for every short sale that we submit is that we do all the work for the negotiator. We know what they want. We know the format. We know exactly how they want to get this information, and we have years of credibility with them. And you see, they
Absolutely.
get paid commissions as well,
Right.
but they
Right.
don't want to take a very unfair deal for the bank to the investor, whoever owns the mortgage, and get their butt handed to them and say, we're going to reject that because this is just stupid, So we protect their butt as well, and so
Right.
then we know that we know how much we can get, and we don't go above that.
Got it. Got it.
Yes, and as long and we want them to when they see a short sale packet from us, we want them to put it on the top of the pile and get it in and get it gone. Now we just finished up one that was we did it in 41 days,
Mhm.
which is
Wow.
really fast for a short sale.
And just to be clear, I want to make sure folks, when you talk about a short sale package, when you talk about that documentation,
Yeah,
all of the things that are involved in that package, and if you get it wrong the first time, if you miss a page the first time, you got to resubmit everything all over again.
your packet goes to the bottom of the pile.
Exactly. So don't try this at home, folks.
I mean, listen, the negotiators think you're an amateur and they won't pay attention to you.
Absolutely.
You get no
Absolutely.
special treatment.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen it happen.
Yeah,
I did a few short sales, in my day back in the day,
yeah,
and it was, we submitted all the documents that they asked for.
right,
And then they came back and said, well, we didn't get any of it. And I said,
right.
okay, well, we submitted everything again. They said, well, you're missing this. I'm like, wait a minute. We submitted that with that the first time. So you're right. If you don't get everything right the first time, you're going to go through a loop. If it's anything like when I was doing
Yeah,
it back in the
pretty
day,
much. Yeah.
and I was
The
figuring it out
difference
back then.
The only difference they don't have as much volume now as they did back in the day. So
Got it. Got it. Got
yeah,
it. So
yeah,
yeah, so it's quite an intense process,
yes,
from the time that I've seen it done.
hmm
Okay. So in the world of short sales, let me say, so as a wholesaler, I mean,
hmm
you talked about how they could potentially monetize that,
right,
by partnering with your company.
yes,
Is there a scenario by which, if a wholesaler were watching, is there a scenario by which they automatically would know that this is a situation that they should partner with you on? Now, of course, looking at it being very little equity or no equity
yeah,
as an obvious situation.
right.
Um, is it a scenario where the mortgage has to be behind,
No,
or they're
as long as they're
okay?
upside down, that's all that matters.
Okay, good, good, good.
Yeah,
Okay. So, because before they were
yeah.
want the mortgages to be behind in order to entertain even
No,
a possibility
I've
of a
done
short
short
sale.
sales where they've been current.
Got it, got it,
Mhm.
got it. Okay, okay. Candace Britt says, great information. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for tuning in, Candace. All right. So now let's get into this. Now we talked about short sales, and I know, if there's anybody watching that has questions about short sales, certainly, chime in and send us your questions. But I want to talk about the meat of this, right? What we came here really, well, I came here really to talk about
Yeah.
is how to legally avoid all capital gains taxes without doing a 1031 exchange.
Yes, that's going to be great. And if I hate to say this is lack of preparation on my part, but I need to get my power cord, or we're going to go dark here in about 2 seconds.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
I apologize for that.
That's all right.
Riff for me.
So yeah, this will be the momentary monologue. But listen, guys, for those of you that are tuning in, this is something that you really, really want to hear about, because again, for those of us that fix and flip, or for those of you that have been fixing and flipping for a number of years, you probably have. Well, I won't say lost money. I won't say lost money because you can't lose it if you never had it. But from the time that we learned to buy houses and fix them up, that significant amount of capital gains taxes that you pay on the money that you make. If you are interested or wanting to know how to save that money, just like I am, you know, stick around and hear this information. If you're watching it on the replay, go ahead and put a 2 in the comments. Just let us know you watched it on the replay, and let us know where you're tuning in from, so we can definitely connect with you. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this podcast. All right, so tell us, Mr. Thornton, how do we save money on capital gains without doing
Okay.
1031 exchange?
All right. So there is a trust that is called a non-grantor, irrevocable, complex, discretionary spendthrift trust. All right.
Wow.
It is a unique trust. It's based on contract law. It's not based on legislative law. What does that mean? 99.9% of the trusts that are out there, living trusts, family trusts, all this stuff, they are based on some law that was passed by some legislative entity. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
This is a contract law trust, which means that at its basic concept is that we were guaranteed with the Constitution to be able to have a contract between entities or people. Okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So this is why not many people have heard about this. This is why 99% of the CPAs or even attorneys I talk to, they never heard of it. Okay.
Wow.
But it has been around for decades. I know the law firm that we work with has had this master trust for well over 50 years. And it has been the go-to asset protection and tax reduction strategy for the really, really wealthy. Really wealthy.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
So it's kind of been their little clique. And they don't. No one advertises this. Okay, you're not going to see it, in a Google ad or whatever, or on TV, because it's been held very tight to the chest, as you want to say. It's starting to get down to us. I heard about it from it's been mostly word of mouth for a lot of years. I heard about it from another investor, and I was like, I never heard of that trust. What do you mean? And he went through with me, and I did my due diligence, and I realized, wow, I've been lighting $100 bills on fire for 20 years, and I whatever, right?
Right.
So here is what makes it so unique and special. It is this type of trust was actually modified. It existed before the tax code came into existence in the 1930s, but it was modified so that way it could be in compliance with IRS code 643B. All right. This kind of trust with this tax code, IRS code 643B, and it is designed, it's designed to permanently defer any capital gains, taxes, or any passive income that comes into this trust. Okay.
Wow.
So in a real estate context, that means if you're a buy and hold investor and you have, let's say you have 15 doors. Okay. The rents that are coming in are passive income for the trust. Therefore, no taxes. They're deferred forever.
Wow.
The trust exists. Okay. So it's an interesting concept. It's a non-grantor, which means if I'm going to be the trust, I cannot create the trust. Somebody else has to create the trust, then appoint me as a trustee. That person resigns. So now the trust exists. I'm the trustee. And so it's a non-grantor trust. There's a lot of grantor trusts out there. They don't have any tax advantages. Okay? Because the IRS will think that trust is an alter ego of yourself, and they will not give you any tax advantages. Okay?
Got it.
It's irrevocable trust, which means you cannot use that trust as a holding pin to transfer properties in and out or assets in and out. And so I will constantly, when I'm talking to someone, I will constantly interrupt them and correct them when they say, "How do you transfer, property in the trust. So you don't transfer it, you sell it. Okay.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
have to irrevocably sell the asset into the trust. Okay.
Right.
So
Right.
once that asset is in the trust, let's say, multifamily, commercial building, whatever. So now that's in the trust is going to have you as the trustee are going to sign a lease agreement with any tenants. And so when they pay the trust. It goes in the trust bank account. So like I said, that's passive income for the trust. Therefore, any taxes that would be owed are deferred in perpetuity permanently. Okay. When you have a trust asset that you want to sell, then as trustee, you put on the market. It could be a FSBO, it could be realtor, whatever. It doesn't matter. You sign a contract. When that contract is consummated, the money comes into your trust bank account. Then as long as that money stays in the corpus of the trust, the bank account is not dispersed to yourself or anybody else, any of the beneficiaries, then any capital gains taxes are deferred forever. Okay? No 1031 exchanges. And that's a game changer, don't you think? That is absolute game changer. Because
Absolutely.
1031 suck.
Absolutely.
Right? You have a very tight window of what you get something under contract. You got to find exactly the kind of same square footage, the year built within a 5-year window, and with the housing market the way it's been the last 3 years, good luck finding an exact match. So whatever you don't match on, that's taxable, right?
Absolutely.
It's so hard, and this is so much easier. And literally, it's that simple, because this type of trust in congruence with IRS Code 643B, it means that any taxes can be deferred in perpetuity. It's not a taxable event, any capital gains. Okay, that's just the bottom line. It's just the way it is. So I don't know why any real estate buy and hold investor does not have this trust. To me, it's just, why would you want to do it the other way? For me, it's like this. The comparison is going to be here probably in a couple of years as word gets around. I'm doing my part to get that word around. That people are going to look at a 1031 exchange as if it's a rotary phone comparison to your iPhone.
Wow.
Why would you want to do that? It doesn't work, and you don't need to have it that way. Okay.
This is true.
I'm telling you. Once you have that trust, you will never pay capital gains again.
Wow. So the question was asked, what is the name of the trust again?
It is called a non-grantor, irrevocable, complex, discretionary spendthrift trust.
That's why nobody's using it. They don't know how to pronounce all that.
Right. Exactly. Each name, each word in this name has its own specific responsibility.
Right.
So at the end is spendthrift trust. Okay. The spendthrift provision means, let's go back to buy and hold people. Okay. If you're a buy and hold owner, it's not when if you're going to get sued, it's going to be when you get sued. Okay. When you have your properties or your assets in the trust, the spendthrift provision gives you 100% lawsuit-proof asset protection. No court overturned orders can be done against the trust.
Wow.
It cannot be penetrated. If you the only thing that you can only get penetrated if you're doing criminal activity or if you're doing fraudulent activity inside the trust. That's it. Otherwise, it gets in front of a judge. The judge will toss it, and it will not. It won't go forward. So the spendthrift part, we talk more about the taxes, but that's a big deal. Think about you fix and flippers out there. What if a contractor falls off of a ladder, right?
Right.
What if somebody slips and falls in front of your thing or whatever? I mean, you're protected from that.
Wow.
With the trust. So that's just one pillar of the trust. Now, I talked about irrevocable and non-grantor, discretionary. So as trustee, you have 100% discretion to manage the trust assets on behalf of the beneficiary. Okay, so what that means, you got 100% power. Okay?
Right.
So, but you have no personal liability on this, and you and the beneficiaries can enjoy, the benefits of the trust and the money coming in. I mean, if I know a lot of people always say, well, I'll give you an example, okay? So I had a business owner approach me in August, and he was going to sell his business for $7.5 million.
Mhm.
That's capital gains. So he was
Right,
going
right.
to get $1.7 million of capital gains. So we got him a trust, sold the assets of the business to him first, and then to the trust, and then he signed the purchase and sell contract with the buyer. And so that $1.7 million did not go to the IRS; it went to his trust. It stayed
Mhm.
inside his trust. Now
Wow.
he's 100%. He's in 100% control of his assets. He doesn't own them anymore, but he controls them.
Got it. Okay.
If he takes any of that money and pays himself, well, that's taxable event.
Right. Exactly.
But if it stays in the trust, what people don't realize is that with this trust, almost all of your expenses are trust expenses, and the trust
Mhm.
pay for them.
Right.
You're paying for most of your expenses with pre-tax dollars or permanently tax deferred dollars, and so there's no disbursements made. So you don't have any taxable events.
Wow. Wow.
So the only thing the trust cannot pay for is the three F's: food, fashion, and fun.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But but if you have minor children in your trust, then it pays for pretty much everything for them. Okay.
Yes.
If
Yes.
you have your personal residence, you sell into the trust will pay for everything: your mortgage, your insurance. If you have a cleaning service, pays for that. Water heater breaks, pays for that. Anything lawn maintenance pays for that. Anything having to the trust with that asset, the trust pays for.
Right. Right.
Vehicle, same thing. If it's in a trust, it's a trust asset, pays for everything. For kids, their education, their clothes, their food, activities, anything to do with, like I said, health, wellness, education, or whatever. That's all paid for by the trust.
Wow.
So now you're taking money that would have gone to the IRS, is now inside your trust that you control, but it's not taxable to you. It's not taxable for the trust, and it's paying for all of I'd say 90+% of your expenses. Okay. So
Absolutely
that
amazing.
is absolutely a game changer. And if you're making money, then you should do this. But there's a second thing here, okay? Because we're talking about buying whole people, right?
Right.
We
Hmm.
also have fix and flippers. We also have wholesalers.
Hmm.
Anytime that you're bringing money in, it's not a capital gains event. That's considered ordinary income.
Right. Hmm.
Ordinary income, if you make above $165,000 a year, that is taxed at 32%.
Right.
Okay,
Hmm.
so that's why people with 1099 jobs, business owners, anybody who makes that kind of money with ordinary income, they're getting killed on taxes,
True.
right? So what this trust can do is convert that active ordinary income into passive income for the trust, which allows it to have all taxes permanently deferred. A
Wow.
little bit different, but this is how
Wow.
you do it. I'm gonna tell you what in my scenario as an investor. Okay, I never take property. I never take short sales, title to short sales anymore. For the last 4 years, I
Hmm.
have
Right.
I have a monetization exit strategy that allows me to make money on these things without having to buy them. Okay,
Got it.
so it's kind of like a wholesale compensation.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
it's not. There's no taxable. There's no capital gains or short-term capital gains on that. So it's just income.
Right.
So I was getting killed on taxes for that. But now, here's what I did. I sold all of my personal and my business assets into the trust. And not just tangible assets, also my intangible assets, my know how, my secret
Right.
strategies, the secret
Absolutely.
sauce. Everything is monetized and sold into the trust.
Right.
Okay? So now I'm going to open up an LLC that's going to run my short sale business. My S corp gone, but this new LLC cannot generate revenue because it doesn't have any assets with which to generate the revenue. Because where are the assets? They're in the trust.
Right. Right.
Okay. So here's what you do. The first thing you do is you make the trust a 90% member or partner in your LLC. First thing. Second thing you're going to do
See it.
is, in order for your LLC to be able to generate revenue, it needs access to the assets. So the trust will lease those assets to your LLC.
Got it.
Now,
Got it.
the IRS will allow up to 70% of your pre-tax net income to be used as a lease payment. So I'm gonna blow your mind here, okay? All right, better get some towels.
Too late. I was gonna say too late.
It's gonna blow you away. Let's say that you have $1 million of pre-tax net income. Now I'm saying $1 million because it's easy math for me. Because I was a humanities major and Russian major in college. I was not finance. So,
okay.
well, let's say $1 million. So you've already taken your expenses out. You've already done your deductions. This is what's left over.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, if this is active income, ordinary income, you'd be paying 32% of that, which is $320,000 worth of taxes that you would pay on that normally. But all we're going to do here is we are going to add 2 more expenses to your LLC. That's going to drop its pre-tax net income down to laughably low number. All right.
Wow.
What's the first one? The lease, right?
Definitely. Yes.
The LLC's got to pay that lease.
Right.
And if the IRS allows up to 70% of their pre-tax net income to be used as a lease, well, that's $700,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to go over to the trust as a lease payment. Now you've reduced your pre-tax net income from $1 million down to $300,000. So now we have one more expense for the trust. Remember how the trust is a 90% member of your LLC? Yes. It needs to get paid for that, right?
Absolutely.
So 90% of $300,000 is $270,000. So that's going to go over. You're going to wire that over to the trust as a K1 distribution. So now we've converted $970,000 if it was active ordinary income into passive income for the trust. So once we have finished deducting those 2 expenses, we're left with $30,000. That's what we're going to calculate our taxes on for the LLC. Now, the lease payments, passive income for the trust. The K1 distribution is passive income for the trust. So again, according to IRS Code 643B, the trustee who has 100% discretion is able to, on your 1041 tax return, which you're going to submit to the IRS, your trust submits tax returns.
Right.
He or she is going to write extraordinary dividend for the trust. And that means that all that passive income that came in is now, any taxes that would be owed on that are now permanently tax deferred, as long as you don't disperse.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this recording off so we don't tell anybody else about this. No, I'm just kidding. We got a couple questions. I have so many questions after all that, but I want to give the audience an opportunity to ask the questions. We have Candace that says, since the money has to stay in the bank account for the trust, how can you have access to the funds? And are you unable to use the funds to purchase more properties, etc.? I think you answered. I think you did answer that.
You're the trustee. You open the bank account. You have the checkbook. You have the debit card. You can purchase as many properties as you want.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I guess that's the whole point. Everything's in the trust. So you control the trust, and so if you want to buy property, the trust buys the property.
Right. I think you did answer that, but I think you mentioned something about the disbursements. As long as you don't take disbursements, but you did. Yeah, I believe you did answer that question.
Right.
And she had the next question as, how many assets can you have in a single trust? Is there certain number of assets to hold in the trust before starting a new trust?
Okay, it's very limited. The trust is very limited. You can only have 1 million or more.
1 million assets.
As many assets you want in the trust. It's one tax return.
Wow.
So you no longer have to take title to properties in land trusts or have to manage all these different entities that you normally would do for asset protection reasons, mostly
Right.
because the trust has 100% asset protection. So now think about how much money you're going to save on accounting.
Right.
When you only do one tax return
Definitely.
and all your assets are in the one trust.
And the thing about so just to give the idea, make sure there's some clarity here for people that are trying to figure this out. When many of the investors purchase in, like, so for example, from a hard money lender, and the hard money lender has to loan to the LLC, right?
Mm-hmm.
So typically there are some that will allow you to take title in a trust, but for those that have to take title in the LLC, how is it that they change that LLC and get it into the trust so that when they either sell or refinance, it's sold from the trust? Does it make sense?
Well, have you ever heard of this thing called a subject to transaction?
Absolutely. Yes.
So you can do it personally with an LLC, and then you can get your financing, and then what you can do is just do a bill of sale and a warranty deed to the trust. And an assignment of note, and
right.
then but you never record it because you're not required to record that.
Absolutely. Right. Great stuff. And now of course, when it's sold, that documentation that doesn't get recorded
Yes,
is what
then you give it to the title company, record it, and now you have chain of title.
Yeah. I just want to make sure we clarify it for the folks that may miss it. Absolutely phenomenal. So how does one have all of this happen? How does one have a sugar-free weight loss trust?
You just reach out to me and I'll be glad. We can do a free strategy session. I can figure out what your needs are, what you're looking for, and we can do that. I mean, and remember, it's not just for real estate, right?
Right.
You're a business owner. The same thing. Your active income is going to be transitioned into passive income for the trust, and there, you can save up to, like I said, by as much as 97% of your taxes. Real estate agents, your commissions, those are active income. Same thing. 1099 people. It's just business owners when it comes to selling your stuff. No capital gains. So there's literally no downside to this, and it's just one time. You don't have to keep paying money. Invest in the trust, and then that's it.
Wow.
That's it. And these trusts last forever. I mean,
this is true.
By the way, the assets that you have in your trust, personal assets including, and you have your family members as beneficiaries. Like, for example, my wife is what is called a successor trustee. So if something happens to me, and she takes over.
Yeah.
So we have a grandson. Eventually, he's going to be trustee of this trust. It can go on for generations. You just have to renew it every 21 years. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
And listen, I've known about trust and the irrevocable trust and asset protection and all that, but I had no idea. Like, basically, in essence, is it okay to describe it this way? Is stacking the trust is what makes the when you talked about the irrevocable trust and the what was the last
spendthrift.
The spendthrift, yes. So it's like stacking them to create the specific trust that gives you the specific type of asset.
I mean, you have 5 pillars, and the pillars are all necessary. And if you have all pillars, they work this way together, then you're golden, right?
Absolutely. Great stuff. I'm already getting requests for us to do this all over again.
Listen, you guys, I'm telling you, in the next couple of years, as this word gets out, and I'm promoting this like you wouldn't believe. I'm on podcasts, I'm on social media. 1031s are only going to be used by people that like I said, are the ones that never want to upgrade their car. Because they're used to it. But ultimately, you don't need them, and this is going to be the go-to strategy for real estate investors and beyond anybody who's not a W-2 employee. The only people we can't help are W-2 employees.
Right. Right.
You poor bastards are not helpable. We can't help you on that. But anybody else, we can. And I would say, I often get asked, well, how much should you be making for this to be worth it? 250, 300,000 and above of income is really where it starts to really help you, because that's where you're going to get the tax savings. You're going to see that almost immediately. At that level, you're gonna be able to break even or even get in the black when it comes to whatever your initial investment is with the trust, and after that, it's just pure profit.
Right.
I mean, profit in the sense that you're not giving away all your profit.
Absolutely.
For taxes.
Man, and just think about had we had this information. I mean, for some of us that have flipped a few houses in the last couple of years,
yeah.
And for those that have taken significant payouts on those houses that they sold that were sold above market, and they've taken significant payouts, and it was great, but half of that money went back to the government.
Yes. Yeah, and I will say one thing, because I know that I have heard this so many times. Oh, it sounds too good to be true. I don't think it's true. Whatever. I'm gonna tell you this, guys. Okay. This trust has been vetted by the IRS. That takes a long time. They go through it, with a fine-tooth comb, and then at the end, they issue what they call a trust private letter ruling.
Wow.
It goes through every single type of taxable events that could happen with the trust and everything. And anybody's interested, I'll get you a copy. It's right there, but it specifically talks about this strategy with capital gains and converting the active income to the passive income. It specifically says that this is in compliance with IRS Code 643B. That is an IRS document, okay? And there's only one trust that's the master trust that has this certification by the IRS. There are other trusts out there that, just because it says non-grantor, irrevocable, complex, discretionary spendthrift trust, doesn't mean it's this trust that's been vetted by the IRS. This is the master trust. So, I know people are going to be running to their Google thing and they want to go and say, where is this? Where can they find it or whatever? There's different things out there. This trust is the only one that has that status. Okay.
Got it.
Yeah.
Great stuff. So Candace says, please share info, reach it out ASAP.
Well, what you can do is go to my website. It's https://freedom, the number 4, U, like the letter U, .now, NOW.SITE. Financial freedom for you.now.site, NOW.SITE. And you can go there, leave your information, and then you can download my ebook that goes over this. You can watch a webinar that I did, similar to what we talked about now for real estate investors. And most importantly, you can schedule a free strategy session with me, and we can go over what you're doing and see how this would work and what would be good for you. So, I will tell you this. What I described to you today is basic real estate investing, basic tax strategy with this. Now, if you're syndicating or you have multiple partners and things like that, then you're going to want to have maybe another trust that goes with it called a business trust or a real estate investing trust. Okay. Good. So if you're like, for me, I don't have partners. I don't have preset distributions. So this works just fine for me. But if you're in more complicated, more sophisticated investing, then that's why I'm saying have a strategy session. We can talk about what it is you need, and I can point you in the right direction as far as what the best strategy is for you. And before we talk about, I know we're almost over with our time, but I will say this, guys. Assets are anything that has value. So you can sell crypto. You can sell if you're Forex, if you have stocks, bonds, precious metals. Wow. It's the same thing. They are trust assets. And when you sell them, there are no capital gains. Okay? Think about that.
Wow.
Think about that. You have a stock portfolio. We have a stock
Total.
portfolio.
Right,
And
right.
these are trust assets. The money into the trust, liquid stocks. That's capital gains. Deferred
Wow.
forever. If it's a trust asset, it comes into the trust.
Wow. Wow.
It's not just
Thank-
real estate.
Real stuff, real stuff. And
Yeah.
that's, that was the question I was going to ask, like, as it relates to assets, like all of the things that you can potentially
Mhm.
sell to generate income on, all of
Yes.
those things can be protected. That's amazing.
100%.
That's amazing.
100%.
Wow. Wow. Man, listen, this has been by far one of the most informative shows that we've had. Don, thank you very much
I
for the
appreciate it. Thanks for having
connection.
me on.
And it's very, very good to have this type of information so that people can know how to benefit from doing business in real estate and doing business. I mean, period.
Yeah.
Based on what you're sharing.
Mhm.
And we will certainly be sure that we share this information, with others. And for those of you that are watching, please be sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the channel so that we can bring you this information on a continuous basis. And we certainly will have you back, Don, to
Look
talk
forward to
some more about how this is working.
it. Mhm.
And I'm already certain that a couple of people that I know that are watching will be reaching out to you. One of them being myself. um, and just going over some ways of how this can be beneficial in doing what we do.
Yes.
I want to give you an opportunity once again to share with the folks your contact information, how they can reach out to you.
You know what? Let's
And
just make it simple because I don't care.
okay,
My number is my cell phone is 407-902-7827. Send me a text.
okay, okay.
I just keep
All
it
right.
simple, stupid. I'm a very simple person. The strategy is very simple. It sounds complicated, but it's not. It's simple. And I don't mind. Text me.
Okay, very good, very good. Well, there you have it, folks. Is there anything else you want to share before we go? You mentioned your ebook. I want to tell the folks how they can come across that again.
Yeah, it's you can go to my like I said, the website, which is https:// financial freedom, the number 4, the letter U .now.site, now.site. Go in there, leave your information. You'll go to my website where you can download my ebook and watch my webinar.
Great stuff. Great
Mhm.
stuff. All
If
right.
you don't mind, I'll say one thing in conclusion.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Um, there is no such thing as too good to be true with this.
Right.
Listen, this has been vetted. This works. There is a lot of stuff on the internet about IRS Code 643B. So I mean, I'm going to forewarn you about it. And accountants and lawyers don't know about this. So there's going to be some pushback when you start talking to people like that. I will tell you, I will be glad to send you the IRS trust private letter ruling that goes over this, like I told you. And you can show it to any licensed professional, and they'll know what that means. Okay? This works. There's a lot of trust out there, and people are trying to do scams with different trusts. The IRS, even on their site, they have like a whole section of trust fraud. Okay?
Mm,
And I can
wow.
give you an ebook that I put together that shows how this trust does not apply to any of those things that they put on there. This has been vetted. It's been around for for over 50 years. This law firm would be in jail if they were selling, fraudulent stuff like this. And they did everything right. And so this is the only trust that has these pillars that gets you, that's been vetted by the IRS and check mark. It's like a blue check mark on social media, right? It's been verified, and there's no need to be afraid that somehow you're going to get in trouble with the IRS, because the IRS already checked this out frontwards and backwards.
Great stuff. Great stuff. All right, again, thank you so much for being on the show today. Thanks for coming on and sharing the information. And guys, don't forget, he also does short sales. So if you have properties that you want to submit to him or have him partner with you on to help you get the short sales done, don't hesitate to reach out to him for those as well. Especially those of you that are wholesalers that don't know what to do with those upside down deals and you just throw them away. Certainly reach out to Don and he'll be glad to help you out with those as well. Thank you all for tuning in today. Thank you for watching. This has been the Real Life Real Estate Investing Show where we talk about real life real estate situations, but we certainly bring you real life real estate solutions. And again, thank you, Dohn, for joining us today. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for sharing the information. And we'll look forward to seeing you all soon.